Hello and welcome to our webinar, Digital Transformation in Practice, a case study of change. My name is Matt and I'm marketing lead at Boldare, and I have the pleasure of hosting this webinar for you. Before we start, just a couple of words about us, the webinar and our speaker. Boldare is a digital product design and development company. Our project teams are uniquely assembled to focus on specific stages of the digital product development process. Initial prototype, an MVP, product market fit, or scaling your product, a Boldare team brings the specific tools, skills, and experience to deliver. And let me introduce today's speaker, Anna, which is Boldare's co-CEO and an expert in digital transformation. She supported many international companies in their digital shift. With over 10 years of experience, she knows how to deal with the most common issues that fast-growing companies often struggle with. Today, she will speak about real-life examples of how she helped our clients to go through a digital transformation in a constantly changing world. Right after the presentation, there will be a Q&A session. So, can you hear us well? Because I got some comments here on the chat. Okay, thank you. So let's go. So after the presentation, there will be a Q&A session for you. So I would like to encourage you to post your questions during the presentation in a questions tab on your right, and we will answer them during the last 15 minutes of the webinar. If you have any other technical difficulties, or you would like to share your thoughts or just say hi, please post it in the chat tab, also on your right side. So before we begin, we encourage you to post live on Twitter during the webinar, so you can use our mention boldare.com, so we can reply and we can retweet your post. Once again, welcome and enjoy the webinar, and let's welcome Anna.
Hello, everyone. I hope that you have as great day as we have here, and the weather in Poland is terrific today as well. I will share my experience, as Matt said, but before that I would go through some basis of digital transformation and the understanding of that to align it. So, here in front of you, I'm not in the role of co-CEO, to be honest. I'm in the role of Systemic Innovation Guide. And I've spent 1,000 years in the IT business, but switching from a career in media, but my work was always, has been always connected with building change. So I think that I have a lot to say to you, not only from the Boldare perspective. And what I will say, have a practical background based on our 15 years on the market, and 89 or 90, we are still finding it, customers from many countries around the world, and 200 digital products built. And with some customers, we go farther and guide them through a digital transformation. And I know that the word digital transformation is mentioning many elements, and it has been mentioned countless times in many places and articles. But looking at the general picture of how digital transformation is really practically implemented, we can say and summarize the implementation as two main options. The first one is digitization. So it's just about the move from analog to digital. And the second thing is digitalization. And it means usage of digital technologies to change a business model, or, for example, simplify how we work. The third meaning and the practical implementation is sometimes just the tech features implementation or a technical innovation. And all of we say is a good word, but still the alignment is very needed to have the same basis. And of course, everything what I'm mentioning, it's not very simple now. It's not very simple because we live in the world which is very, very, very complex. And this context of VUCA world refers to reality that goes drastically farther than complicated, and we could call it extremely complex. And why I'm saying that? Because this kind of complex system and complex world needs a readiness for change. And I mean not only the digital readiness as an organization ability to anticipate and respond to transformation, but as well the cultural readiness. And what is a little bit tricky is that, as we can see here in PwC research about the readiness for change, it shows that anything we do in digitization or digitalization affects the culture and the environment in which the change occurs. Cultural readiness means the readiness in all organization pods and areas, and transformation of separated single parts doesn't work. And still, this is the biggest implementation challenge. The lack of right digital culture, not the lack of technology or experts in technological stuff. And so here and now, what is main thing? I want to talk about the digital transformation as a series of changes to the organizational status quo and the culture that occur because of digital projects. And I want to share with you some bold opinion in this approach. It was presented by Harry Baucott. It's the senior partner of McKinsey. And he is stating that the airlines, for example, are transforming more slowly than they could, and they do not take the full advantage of transformation because of very specific cultural issues of motivating people to work. And he found out that many problems and the struggles with the transformation comes from the specific approach to very fast and quick response to change and decisions under pressure, which, to be honest, are motivating people working in this industry. So I'm not sure, but I think that we reached to the point where probably some of you are not listening anymore because you are expecting a lecture from a coach about the culture change management. This is not what I want to say. And some of you, I guess, are counting the costs and effort for such a change and want to leave the room as well. Please stay for a few minutes. I will try to allay your fears, and I will do it with with the usage of very wise men. He's called Niklas Luhmann, and in the 60s, he treated for the first time the organization as a social system. And it was really huge change in the thinking. Since then, the perspective have been developed further, and today the approach is, in my opinion, the best reflection of the real complexity we face and what surrounds a company and the company itself. An organization is no longer a machine, as we had at the beginning of the previous century, or a tribe. It's a very complex social system, as we know, around us. And if we look at the culture in the light of the systems theory, it gets even more tricky a little bit, because it's the summary is that culture cannot be directly changed or influenced. So what we can do, what we can build, what we can change, what influences the culture and make it changeable is main thing in the system. The system is driven by decisions, and it has decision premises as a key element. It has programs like strategy or vision. It has communication channels like structure or the roles in the company. And it has a personal, this is not about persons, but still the personal. And in the middle of everything, something what is not possible to influence directly, but still the culture is the result of actions in other elements. Every change in one of these three corners of the triangle is a change which affects the culture. So that's good that we can do something with the culture in our company. And we are left with making a conscious impact on these three elements of the system and observation of how these changes affect the culture. As you can see, the examples are everything what you know from the daily work. Every company has it. But still, this is the first point to affect if we want to change something. So I think it sounds now quite okay, but still, what I want to share with you is the case study that this is not a huge work, because this is not the work with the culture directly, and this is not a huge work, and it can be done so as not to lose time to market and at the same time not sacrifice the exponential growth of the company. And I want to share with you a transformation case study, and now we are in the middle of 3 transformation projects with our clients. But this is mainly based on 2 of them, and definitely both of them are living in a very complex world. Around, they have the people around the world, many projects at the same time, many products to build, and very many changes around in general. And this is the story of the systemic digital transformation based on two key transformation layers. First of all, this is about the software development. This is the thing going on, and the main products built step by step with the augmented team of developers, designer, and the product roles. So this is the daily job. We do it together with the clients in a combined teams, let's say 50% of each. 50% from Boldare and 50% on the client side. So in general, we build products with the approach of presenting the increment all the time. And the second layer is the transformation I mentioned before of programs and communication channels. So it means the transformation of digital culture. These 2 key services and transformation layers are going together. So the story starting with working together on scaling one of the company's digital products as an outsourced product development team. 12 people from our company combined with 12 people from the client side working together very closely and delivering the increment every 2 weeks. So the product is built. And the key element is that they follow the same processes and they maintain the full transparency. And of course, evolution is proceeding. So after 3 months, we've started the next goal. And the next goal to achieve with additional teams building, it was a second key product for the customer. And with this iterative approach, we were expanding the company's digitization of services and customer experience. So definitely 2 co-working teams combined from 2 companies, it is starting to be a little bit complicated, not complex yet. But then the development of multiple products was happening simultaneously. And the 3rd product came, so we decided to, and we found the purpose of introducing innovation. So we created together with the client an R&D team whose task was to prototype solutions for the products being built and to build MVPs validating the market needs. And this complex world is going now in the middle in one company, and the second is just starting. But with one of our clients, we work like that for a year now, and we build even more products, so the system is still very complex. But what you see here is it's a full cycle product development, and it looks like maybe you know it, quite closely integrated teams building together the product, nothing more. But the aim of everything is to find a way to prepare the customer at the end to be with this alone and to build the products internally without our help. And this aim opens the need to prepare the culture that supports that. That's why here the second layer is coming. So the first thing is the summary. What is the key element of product development that has to be placed to have this second layer of transformation? First one is teams building product very transparently and in the same processes, and combination of the teams, not separation, the same tools, language, and one aligned backlog, and of course the incremental growth, not waiting for ages to present the result of work. And if we specify the elements of digital transformation that affects the three pillars of the system and changes to the company culture, this chart may look a little bit different. Transformation is definitely parallel to the creation of the product, and this is the constant systemic transformation. And each move we do, each intervention we do, make changes to the programs, communication channels, and the personnel. And even in the already early stages, the first jointly working team from the first steps definitely changes many things in the culture. Why it's like that? For example, the agile method of work changes a lot, many things with the tools, and it really needs the transparency and very clear division of the roles. So the structure of responsibility is changing and the processes are aligning. So, for example, we use Scrum, and the retrospectives are the very powerful tool, as well as full team review and the reporting lines. Together with the second product, the world is changing again, and we have other elements because the complexity is growing. We needed the product building processes more expanded. For example, we've started to use Nexus as a framework to combine the needs and combine the aims of the teams and the structure. And what is needed here is the product management synchronizing. Definitely needed to go to the same way. And the product discovery workshops the same for everybody. And we had to start simplify the dependencies. So we've started to change the company a little bit internally. Because this need came, many things in the company had to change. Even we found that the competence profiles of the new employees has changed a little bit, because a little bit different people were needed in the company. So even the HR started to cooperate with us, and the change was not only in the IT department. And the three products as well, some changes. And the biggest one is that we needed the product roadmap, very common one. And definitely we needed the broader context of the rules and the goals. So we needed to go to reach the purpose, vision, and goals of the entire company. So it was the time in which the main management and the board was involved. So definitely the change of the culture and the readiness for the digitalization has expanded a lot. And of course, many things changes as well with the R&D team. It's a very specific team with lean startup approach and a very rapid prototyping work, with new safe enough to try approach and the openness for the experiments. So this change was long-term, but with very delicate small moves each time. So what is very crucial here is that from the beginning of this kind of transformation, we need to have some change team responsible for change management and systemic observations and interventions, and of course the loop of feedback and the measurements. So what I described could be called digitalization plus a full-scale agile transformation. And our client agreed with that, even they called it like that. So maybe this is not a very, let's say, huge world of digital transformation yet, but definitely this is the way to go there. And from our perspective, it's a real transformation because it affects all the company, the whole company. And what I want to leave you with is that digital transformation offers something more than just drastic long-term activities aimed to the changing the culture of the company, million of coaches on the board and years of change. With this kind of approach, with the systemic digital transformation, combined with the software development in a daily job of developers and the designers, the battle for the sense, moment, and the effectiveness of such an actions may have fewer victims. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm really happy to answer all your questions if you have it.
Okay, so it's a time to hop into the Q&A session for the next 10-15 minutes. So I would like to encourage you once again to drop your questions in the questions tab. That's the probably last occasion right now. So you can also vote on the questions that are already posted, which are the most interesting to you, so we can answer them firstly. Okay, so the first question we have is from Ms. Claudia, and it's, how did the client you've mentioned convince his board of directors to go through digital transformation?
And of course, we have 3 examples, and in three times it was different. So for sure, it is always different. First client came with the board ready for that. The second came as a product owner in very separated department focused on IT. So then we started, if we saw that the board is not ready yet, they don't even know about this move, like they know the aim of the product, but the move not. We've started from the discovery session, what is the real struggle they have, and we found that we can solve it with very small moves. So we've started with the second client, we've started from very, very small moves, and the move was just building the first MVP of the product and changing the processes within this department. Excuse me. So it was working on example. So product has been delivered, team was happy, and the progress was there. So it was the first moment in which product owner from the client's company had some reason to discuss, maybe this is nice to go with that further. Then we went to the second product, much more important regarding the time to market. And with the second product, we done the same thing, but with the broader teams. So it was like expanding the good practices, not pushing the board. So what I can summarize is that the beginning of the process starts with finding what is the real possibility we have. If it's even very small step and building very small thing to start and to trigger the change, we just do it and wait what's going on. Because I really believe that the board is ready when they find the aim and some proof that it's going well. So we start from working like in a daily job.
Okay, thank you, Anna, for answering that. Okay, let me go to the next question. There's some. Can you hear us? We have some connection problem. Okay, I have some technical issues because I can go through the next question as the platform is having some issue. Give us a moment.
Oh. Yeah, maybe I can open it as well.
Okay. Okay, it's working now. Sorry for that. Okay, the second question we are going to answer is how did the client? Oh, sorry, it's not this one. It's based on your experience with clients. How long it usually takes to transform an organization?
Transformation is never-ending story, of course, because it's a beautiful journey. But going down to earth is what we see now, that in the companies with size 600 people, and the board not ready from the beginning, but very open. So it depends on the culture as well. We are now year and a half just after start, and this is the moment in which we start to a little bit step by, because we see together with the client that they are ready to take it by themselves. But I would say that the main element is the speed of growth. If the speed is huge, the transformation is longer, because definitely the world is much more complex. And if we build, for example, 7 products at the same time in the company, and each of this product has to be delivered very quickly and validated very quickly, the transformation is not so calm, I would say. But in general, I think that it's a year and a half, if everybody is aligned with the aim. Sometimes it takes longer. For example, we are transforming ourselves from since, I don't know, 2011, but this is a different transformation. This is the transformation of the processes, and we are going farther and farther. But I would say that the main transformation to the agile digital culture, we needed 1 year as well, a little bit.
Okay, thank you for answering that. Okay. Let's go to the next question, which is, do you think that digitization can affect the management? Oh, I have the same issue.
Is it the end of the question?
No. There is some connection problem, and
so
my questions just disappeared. That was a question asked by Mr. Carlo, probably.
Do you think that digitization can affect the management of receipts and payments with new technologies that go beyond the banking circuits and the credit cards? Example, blockchain. I would say definitely can affect, but I would say that digitization is not enough. I would say the digitalization would be. So definitely something more with the business change perspective. So systemic change means that we change the system and we change something in the system. So blockchain without the purpose of changing the system in general wouldn't be the huge change. But it is the huge digital change because it affects many elements around. So I would say that everything what touches very complex things at the same time definitely can affect the management of what we are used to, like payments and let's say topics we know for many years, but still some disruptive changes is going and is working now. It's sometimes in the middle even.
Okay, thank you for answering. So the next question is, what would be the first steps to start digital transformation with Boldare?
The first step is always the question why we do it and what is the tension behind it. So we are trying during, we call it discovery session and needs analysis session. Sometimes it's 1 hour, 2 hours, sometimes 4, to find the good enough, safe enough to try step to bring the value. But I mean, sometimes the value is discussion with the board, sometimes the value is building small product, and sometimes the value is just the discussion about the tools we can use. And sometimes it's, for example, building the prototype or MVP together. So the first step is to discuss the need and find the real trigger and the real aim. What do you want to achieve within this transformation or with this transformation? It's the key element.
Okay, thank you. So we are ahead of the last question for today before we go to the summarize of this webinar. So the last question is, what would be the definition of digital transformation? How does it affect company vision, for example, or the regular employee on the low level? Or is it enabling the organization to build digital product? Like, sounds like 3 questions.
Yeah, can we go to the first one?
Okay, the first is, what would be the definition of the digital transformation?
What would be the definition other than I presented today? Because the digital transformation has many definitions, but from my perspective is a transformation with some kind of definition of done, and definition of done is the readiness for change. And I mean the readiness for example, constant feedback loop and constant loop of changes. I would say that this is, for example, the readiness to change your products, to drive your customers with the digital change as well. Is readiness to change your HR to be ready to hire people in this digital era. Is the readiness of building the processes responding to the constant change around. And at the end, or maybe beginning, definition is to make your business ready to the digital world around. And it means sometimes making it digital, so from analog to digital. Sometimes it's changing the business model even, because the user is different today, and it's the digital user, and we can't say that it is. So it would be the change of everything inside regarding culture as well, to build the readiness for the next changes. Digital changes.
Okay, and the rest of the question was about its affection on the company vision and the regular employee on the low level.
I can see from my experience that it affects many things a lot in a very different way. In huge corporations, for example, it affects for example, people directly with the fear of losing control at the beginning, because they feel that they can be replaced, for example, by predictive maintenance. From the other hand, it affects the processes and the programs and everything. So sometimes the main issue is the management not open to change, because they really know what works, and I believe it. They really know what they do, but still the openness for change in us as people is not so huge. But definitely it affects businesses, And I would say in two ways. The first one is that businesses find the new segments, customers, and possibilities. It means that sometimes they have to close something what was working quite well, but this is not future-proof. And the second thing, it affects the sustainability of growth, definitely. Because this is not a huge frog leap from here to there, but the transformation allows companies to be ready to do it step by step, responding to the real changes. Because if I would go back 3 or 4 years ago, even with the plans I had to the company or the clients had the plans, they had to change them a million times or 100 times within these 5 years. And this is nothing new and nothing bad. So definitely it affects the readiness of gathering these changes and making it as a good element, as a starting point. So yeah, it affects many things and people as well. But I can't recall any huge problems with people or leaving employees if it's done well, if it's done slowly and well.
Okay, thank you. So the Q&A session has come to an end, so let's go to some summarization. So I really hope you found our webinar insightful, and to just summarize that, we prepared a few key points from the presentation for you. And it's first, digital transformation is a change that affects the whole system, the whole organization. Second, the biggest implementation challenge of a digital transformation isn't a lack of the right technology, it's more a lack of digital culture and skills in the organization. Third, you cannot change the culture of your organization directly, then you have to put a conscious impact on key organizational elements to influence the culture, like programs, like strategies, policies, and approach, personnel, communications channels, and an observation of how these changes affect the culture. And fourth, generally, you can start with a small step, and you can always turn to us to find it. So thank you all for joining us during the webinar session. We really appreciate your participation, all the questions and comments you've posted during the webinar, and a special thanks to our speaker, Anna, who shared her insights with us. And the video from the webinar will be automatically sent to you in the email summary right after we finish. And if you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to contact us at hello@boldare.com. We can always set up a call and respond to your specific needs. And on a final note, please follow us on our social media where we share our know-how, insightful articles, and post all the updates regarding upcoming webinars. Hope to see you soon. Goodbye.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.